When people ask where I'm from originally, I normally just say Texas because it's a lot easier to say than, well, I was born in South Carolina, but I don't have any memory of that because we moved to Texas and then to Alabama and then to Mississippi and then to Bahrain and then to Texas again and then finally to Pennsylvania, which usually begs the question, what's a Bahrain? And then I get to tell them about this wonderful island nation off the coast of Saudi Arabia, in which I had the pleasure of living during its last years as a actual kingdom under the reign of Sheikh Isa bin Salman al Khalifa, who was a pretty cool dude as far as kings are concerned. It was the best period of my developmental years and arguably of my life. I absolutely fell in love with that part of the world. I loved the food, the music, the language. I don't speak it very well. Primarily the food. I also have a borderline unhealthy obsession with dromedary camels. That's the ones with one hump, because the two hump guys are assholes. Seriously, they're dicks. But yeah, my dad was military, and his job during the time that we were there was to sell fighter jets to the Bahrainis. So he was working with the Bahrainis, obviously, and also with civilian contractors whose job it was to import and store all this stuff in these giant warehouses where they kept everything from tanks to can openers and everything in between. More on that later. So the Kingdom of Bahrain is about 15 miles east to west, about 30 miles north to south. It's tiny, but there's a lot of really great stuff packed in that little tiny island nation. And in the northeast corner of the island is the capital city of Manama. And Manama is just this, well, I haven't been there in a while, but it was this magical place where you could go down side alleys where there's street vendors, wheeling around these big earthen ovens and slapping naan bread on the inside. And then you go around the corner and you're in this incredibly modern, contemporary gold market where there's more gold, silver, and precious gems than you could possibly fathom in your wildest dreams. But there was a parking lot in downtown Manama where there was a gentleman who washed cars for tips. And this gentleman went by the traditional Arabic name of Matthew. And Matthew had this magical ability to take a dirty bucket of water and a dirty rag and make your car look like it just rolled off the lot. We had the only Ford Bronco on the island. It was pretty great. Actually, the Crown Prince stopped my mom one time and offered to buy it from her on the spot. That's another story. But we came to like Matthew, and Matthew came to like us. We treated him very well. He treated us very well. And I would get excited when we went to downtown Manama to do whatever. And we'd park, and I'd jump out of the car, and Matthew would come up, and I'd say, Marhaba Mahdi. Assalamu alaikum. And he'd say, Wa alaikum assalam, kayfa haluk? And I would say, Bakhair, alhamdulillah. Wa anta? And he would say, Bakhair, alhamdulillah. And then we'd switch to English because that's all the Arabic I know. And, but Matthew had a family. He had a wife and kids, and he supported them washing cars for tips in downtown Manama. Now back to my dad's job. As our period in Bahrain was coming to an end, he called up one of these contractors that ran one of the warehouses and said, hey, you ever go to downtown Manama? And the guy says, yeah, I love that place. It's pretty great. He said, do you ever park in that one parking lot on Bakalakadaka Street or whatever? And he goes, yeah, the one with the guy that washes cars. He said, Matthew, yeah, great dude. And my dad said, yeah, why don't you hire him? And the guy said, it never crossed my mind. That's a great idea. I'm going to talk to him next time I go down there. And so one of our last times going to downtown Manama, same old routine. Matthew comes up, but this time he has this black jewelry box. So bear in mind, Matthew went from washing cars with a bucket of dirty water and a dirty rag to having a government job overnight with benefits and paid time off and sick leave and all the things that I'm still trying to get overnight. And in Matthew's culture, it's considered rude to accept a gift if you can't give something of equal value in return. So Matthew comes up and he gives this black jewelry box to my dad, and my dad opens it up and it's this solid gold bracelet that must have cost more than Matthew made in the last year as a thank you for making that 5-minute phone call. So I learned a lot in those few years of my life as a child in the Middle East. One of the things I learned is that if you can do something for someone else, do it. Because a 5-minute phone call to someone might be worth its weight in gold to someone else. The other thing that I learned, and I believe to this day, is I refuse to accept the idea that everyone over there wants to cut my head off. Thank you.